I would say to me, it's very binary. A company with a culture that you think is toxic, you should never invest. Even if numbers are good and market position is attractive, and toxic culture is like a silent poison for any company. Now, if you have a good culture, you're right. A good culture is always at risk. But if you have a management team that's very cognizant of the culture, are themselves culture carriers, and are cognizant of the fact that this is one of the key ingredients for this company to be successful, they're going to look after it. And there's many ways, from incentives to organization to, having the right ambassadors in the right place to make sure that this is preserved. So this is something you can have some influence on if it's already existing. But again, you need the management team on your side, thinking that yes, this is something that's very important, and devising the right incentives and behaviors around that. To me, the trickiest one is not that one. The trickiest one is you have a good culture, but the culture needs to change for the company to change. A classic example of that are, the companies I invest in now from the family office. These are usually founder-led, smaller than the ones I used to do when I was at BC, obviously, very fast growth. And usually the challenge there is you have a very successful founder, great leader, great entrepreneur, great visionary, etc., great operator, but they're their worst enemy. And at some point, they are their own bottleneck. And usually these people, the way they've grown is they treated people that work for them as family, which in itself is fantastic. I mean, it's fantastic for these people. It's fantastic as an organization to have something that is not purely transactional and cynical. And people like that, employees like that. But you can't, if you're going to grow from, I don't know, you have 20, 30, 50 employees to you're going to have 100, and you were one country and you're going to become 5 countries, or just you're going to go to the US, for example, suddenly you need to have a different organization and a different culture. You can't just have a group of people around you who were there from the start, are incredibly loyal, may not be the best at what they do, but are very loyal, dedicated. You trust them, and everyone does a bit of everything. This is no longer the right setup. So I've seen it I'm seeing it now at least 3 of the companies I'm overseeing or I'm helping. That culture from family, very, very warm and fuzzy and unstructured, to okay, now we need a management team around the CEO. We need people who report into that management team. We need structure. We need job description. That's a culture shock. And that's the hardest, or at least in my experience as an investor.